Hello and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me on another of my amazing interviews. Now, by popular demand, I have a gentleman who's coming back to talk about some of the things that he does, and in particular some of the supplements that he would recommend for a balding bloke like me who wants to have a nice new afro. No, maybe not that. The wonderful Clive de Carle. Everyone's talking about Clive. As soon as there's a sort of thing about health or anything like that, or what should we eat, my recommendation is go and have a look at Clive, because he's been around for a fair old time and he's a good, reliable chap, and he knows where to get stuff from. Clive, it's lovely to have you back on the show.
Hi, Richard.
I get so many emails from people saying, asking about you. They've seen the interviews and all of that, and I thought, well, we had to just get you back on. I know I'm doing loads of interviews. How are you, and what are you up to?
I'm very good, thank you. I'm doing a few talks in the next month. One of them is with the comedian Steve Hughes, and we titled it "Laughter is Medicine." I thought "Laughter
Ah,
is Medicine" is a good title. Anyway, a friend of
yeah.
mine wrote back, so well, look, if you're telling the truth and laughter is medicine, it's going to have to be licensed. You're going to need a prescription to get it. We're going to have to regulate happiness.
Oh, yes. We better not say any jokes or anything like that in case we get sued now, because we we don't have that license. I haven't got the license to make people laugh. But it is a thing, though, isn't it? I mean, I know that in certain countries they do laughter. Well, probably all around the world now they do these laughter seminars, where people, they get up in the morning and I don't know how you force yourself to laugh. Although very often I just have to think of certain people and I'm already chortling away.
The one method for depression to snap people out of it is to say, look at yourself in the mirror, look yourself right in the eyes, and
Yeah,
smile. Just
and smile.
yeah, even though
And
you
and
might not feel like it, because they say that after a minute or so of relentless smiling, various hormones are released which make you feel happier.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because sometimes I do wake up, especially if the weather is miserable and it just things get on top of you, and I'm sure it's the same with lots of other people, and you just feel a bit miserable. But the thing about my job is I'll go downstairs, I'll have to do a monologue. Well, I don't have to, but I do this, or I'm talking to somebody like yourself. And you can't come on going, hello, how's it going? You do that. And then if you've had that sort of mood that's just been a bit down, it soon goes. And I think it's the same with actors on stage. They may be miserable old farts or what have you, but if you're in a role that is quite supposed to be cheery, I think at the end of it, you've suddenly cheered up. So I can see how the mirror thing would work.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, another one for depression is to drink a liter of good quality water. I mean, a
Oh,
whole
oh,
liter all
right.
at once. Yeah, well,
Yes.
actually, because people tend to, when they get depressed, they tend not to look after themselves. They don't drink the water they should. They don't eat the good food. They, comfort.
Do you find that when you're down, you get into that mode where you almost don't want to be cheered up?
I think people are addicted to unhappiness, that there's some chemical that's released in the brain. I mean, why would people? Because people seem to enjoy suffering, don't they?
Well, they do.
And then they mix with other people who are suffering so they can suffer in a group and feel more special about their suffering. And it's habit to a large degree.
Yeah, which is a shame, and I suppose because of the type of material that I'm now talking about, and the sort of emails that I get from people who are beginning to wake up to what might be going on in this world, people get very frightened and a bit down. And if they are a bit down, what sort of things can people do in the supplements area to ensure that they cheer themselves up, or at least helps?
Number one, with almost any question you might ask me, number one tends to be magnesium.
Yeah,
Because, as you know, when we're stressed, our bodies burn magnesium in able to cope. So if we start to run out of our magnesium reserves, various things happen. One is that our bodies tend to go acidic. Magnesium keeps you alkaline. And when you're acidic, you're going to be prone to illness. Uh,
right.
in a similar way, the cows that are fed grains, they run acidic bodies and they're not well. They're meant to eat grassy things.
Yes.
So um, Sorry, I've forgotten where we were.
Well, magnesium,
Yeah,
keeping you,
exactly.
keeping you. Yeah, you obviously need a bit more of your own magnesium.
Do, and I need the iodine for the memory. But
Yeah,
with the magnesium, we don't get enough from food, generally speaking. Yes, you can get magnesium in various foods, green leafy vegetables and stuff like that. But lots of people are not getting it, mainly because it's not in the soil. They've messed with the
mm,
soil so that the minerals just aren't there. So magnesium is quite a bulky mineral. Taking one magnesium capsule or two might be okay, but I found many people need way more than that just at the beginning. So the first
right.
day, the first 2 days, first 3 days, a lot of people try two capsules 6 times a day. So,
Really? So you can't overdose on it too
which
easily.
type of magnesium it is.
Ah,
The cheap magnesium that you might get in the high street is likely to be the wrong one. And the wrong one is magnesium oxide. That's about a fifth of the price of the other stuff. And that
right.
if they don't care about you, they just want you to read, oh, it's got magnesium in it, they'll give you magnesium oxide. And if somebody's constipated, well, it's quite effective to help there, but it's not going to actually give you enough magnesium to absorb into your cells where it's useful. So, um,
So what should you be looking for if you're looking at the label at magnesium
it
instead of
well,
oxide?
um, almost anything except oxide. I mean,
Oh, right.
the one that I do has bisglycinate because magnesium fixed with glycine, the amino acid, has various benefits. Then magnesium malate, you get that's from malic acid. And, mother's milk contains malic acid, contains malates. Then taurinate, and this is most specifically for vegans and perhaps vegetarians, because taurine, like Taurus the bull, taurine comes from meat products. So I put magnesium taurinate in it to help with the eyes, and then some citrate, which you don't want to take too much citrate because that will give you diarrhea, just like oxide. But a
Mm,
little bit should, in theory, ensure that your bowels are moving nicely.
right.
People who are constipated, and which is a dangerous thing. I think people with bowel issues, whether it's the big C or IBS or whatever it might be, probably constipation may well have had a big part to do with it. I had a guy ring me a couple of months ago, and he was reporting on a fast, 21-day fast, and I think he was 14 days in, and he said to me, "Crazy thing was, for the first 8 days, I was still going to the loo as normal, as if I'd eaten a meal." And I said
Wow.
to him, "That probably means you were backed up 8 days. You thought you were regular, you were
Yes.
every day, but you were 8 days late."
Gosh, and it's weird to think that your intestines can have all of that in your gut, and all of that can have that much food sloshing about, slowly coming out.
Well, it's going to
But
ferment, and when it
yes,
ferments, you're going to fart and you're going to burp, and your tummy's going to swell, and then the lining of the bowel itself is going to get inflamed because
mm,
it's been there for 8 days. That's not good,
yeah,
and I mean, the blunt part of this is that if somebody goes to the toilet and it smells, or it smells bad, there's something seriously wrong. It's been
yes.
the smell that bad. It's been there for a while going on. Some people eat loads and loads of beetroot and then watch to see when the purple comes out the other end, or they swallow sweet corn, which is hard to digest if you haven't chewed it up, and watch for that to come out.
Yes.
People take liquid chlorophyll and watch for it to go green.
So that gives you an idea of if you're backed up or not, because
Yeah,
if you've had that beetroot and it's not coming out bright red,
yeah.
uh,
Just count how many days it might take.
yeah, how many days it
I
takes,
mean, transit time should be 18 hours ish.
ish.
Or
Yeah.
for some people, it's after every meal. 3 meals a day, three bowel
Gosh.
a day. So, but the worst I ever heard was one woman who said, "I'm terribly sorry, you're not going to believe this. 26 days."
My
You'd think they'd
goodness.
explode. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. You just you wouldn't be able to get any more in your mouth. Um, well, that's a nice thought to get on. And if that doesn't cheer you up, if you're feeling a bit down and under the weather or whatever, then
but back
I
to
don't know.
magnesium. Magnesium is the answer.
Yes.
With magnesium, the chances are, let's say you're feeling very depressed, good
Mm,
chance that you'll crack out of it. If you're in pain, arthritis, whatever, sort of pains you might have, probably you can get out of it. It might be much quicker than you think. I had a woman a while back who was suicidal. She took 12 capsules the first day, 12 the second, and by the evening she rang me up and said, well, I'm not happy, but I'm not suicidal anymore.
Well, that is amazing. That is amazing. If it can shift. So does it? What, I mean, obviously it's doing something to your body, and presumably that, of course, is changing your mind.
It's the mineral of relaxation. So literally every cell of your body, the muscles, everything just has the ability to relax. So your mind just relaxes.
Yeah. And we get so stressed on so many things. I mean, at the moment there's a number of stresses on, the cost of living crisis being one, and various other things. So we do need to find ways to relax. And of course, whilst there may be certain plants that would help in that we're not legally allowed to sell, and perhaps people get in nefarious ways, and we better not talk too much about it because of terms and conditions and what have you. The next best thing is finding those supplements that will do just that, and clearly magnesium seems to be one of those. Well, are there any other supplements?
Yeah. Magnesium is number one, but by far, because I would literally say 95% of us are low on it. But so what I recommend to people, if they're, say, a normal size, is try taking 2, maybe 6 times a day. If you get diarrhea, then stop. You've reached your threshold, and then see how you feel. And if the pains go away, if the headaches stop, the migraines stop, the heart arrhythmia stops, restless leg ends, cramps end, whether it's menstrual or leg cramps or whatever, twitches stop happening. If any of those things are happening to you, that's almost definitely a magnesium deficiency. So on top of that, vitamin C. When I got taken down from the illustrious YT for the second time, it was because I was talking about vitamin C and its benefits over the last 3 years. So a big one in winter, of course, is vitamin D. I used to get colds and flus every year, and I started taking vitamin D in winter. Never got cold or flu again. It's those 3 things: magnesium, vitamin C, vitamin D. It's not as if these are very hard to find, mysterious, occulted, special treatments that people have to go in order to keep some sort of basic health, particularly if food and sunlight is not providing all of that. It's funny how we do seem to look to the 4 corners for something that is going to save us from something that we're worried about, and yet those very simple things and it always seems to be the simple things that actually are the answer. But why is it that people always overlook the most simplest things? Well, we were sent to school.
Yes, that's true.
We were told to believe what we're told, memorize it, and everything else is a load of rubbish. Let me mention another vitamin that's very useful for people who are depressed. Vitamin B3 is niacin. So niacin in its pure form, if you take too much of it, it gives you a flush, you go bright red. And but there's another type that doesn't give you a flush. So my latest product, actually, I sound like I'm advertising, is the niacin complex, which has a small amount of the flushing niacin and larger amounts of a couple of other types which don't give you a flush. Now, the guy who, Bill W., his name was, he was the guy who started Alcoholics Anonymous. He was a manic depressive, as far as I remember. And he went to a medical doctor, Dr. Abraham Hoffer in Canada, who built him up to 3 grams of niacin. And for many people who are schizophrenic or they're manic depressive, niacin can fix it, can absolutely fix it. But you have to know what you're doing. The first time I tried niacin years and years ago, I didn't know what I was doing. And I took 1,000 milligrams. Thought, oh, that's fine. Anyway, I get in the car after that. I've just taken it, had breakfast, get in the car, and the next moment I'm having a heart attack. I have gone bright, bright purple. My heart's going boom, 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 and I'm driving quite fast.
Oh my,
Anyway,
yes.
there's a lay-by the side of the road, and I get into that and ready to die. And I suddenly remembered, actually, it's not a heart attack. It's the niacin flush. And I go, oh, I should have remembered. You got to start with like 25 milligrams, not 1,000.
Right.
So, but I was very
Gosh.
relieved not to die, obviously.
Well, I'm sure we're all relieved that you didn't die.
But the incredible thing about niacin is the very first clinical trial to balance out cholesterol levels was done with niacin, the flushing type.
Hmm.
And it was successful. Anybody's got a cholesterol type issue where it's out of balance for some reason. It may be that niacin, vitamin C, a few very basic, what they call orthomolecular substances, which basically means vitamins, minerals, amino acids, and fats, can correct so many things. So that's the cholesterol side. But if it's the brain side, it's somebody's not happy, they've got a condition of some kind, you don't need the flushing one. You only need the non-flushing one. But sometimes you might need quite a few. I think our blend is 500 milligrams or something. So normally one might be great. Why, apart from happiness, why else would you want to take it? Almost every single type 2 diabetic is low on niacin.
Oh, right.
There are so many things you can do with niacin. It's incredible. It's inexpensive. And for some people, it is the answer to their mental problems. They might need vitamin B12 and the other B vitamins to go with it. But anybody who has an intractable happiness problem or don't want to take statins, which are very, very, very dangerous, and then niacin is worth researching. And on the Secret Health Club, there's quite a lot of information about niacin. It's easy to find on the web. There's a book by Abraham Hoffer, Hoffer, called Niacin, The Real Story. And so many of these things have been discovered 60 years ago or longer and absolutely buried, totally buried. They don't want you to know simple things you've probably got in the cupboard. Bicarbonate of soda. Bicarbonate of soda can save your life. Probably the most underlooked emergency medicine around, and probably deficiency of bicarbonate might be the biggest deficiency of the lot. So how much does a good quality bicarbonate cost? £10 for a year's supply.
So how often would you know? I mean, how would you know? I mean, this is a question I wanted to ask you. On your site, you've got loads of different supplements, and presumably you don't have to sit there in the morning with 25 different pills that you're all taking just in case, or in case I have this and in case I have that and all of that. Presumably there are some which are advised to have daily, and others for more specific situations.
Exactly. So, let's take sodium bicarbonate. First thing, just to point out that sodium bicarbonate is different to baking soda. Baking soda contains sodium bicarb, but it often has other things. What we're talking about is pure sodium bicarbonate. Now, after you've digested food in the stomach, the next, to knock out the acid, our bodies make bicarbonate.
Right.
It's a naturally occurring material. But as we get older, in the same way that we don't make the digestive enzymes to digest the food like we used to, we don't, in many cases, make the hydrochloric acid that we used to. We don't make the sodium bicarb, which is then the thing that alkalizes, neutralizes the acid. So if, let's say, you've got a bloated stomach, and quite a lot of people do, it may be that you're allergic to the food you're eating, and suddenly you've got an intolerance for the chemicals they've put in the bread or whatever it might be. Or it may be you haven't got enough stomach acid. So, and I would say everybody over 45 is probably not producing so much stomach acid. You might be eating the best food in the world, doesn't mean it's going to be going into your cells and getting assimilated. So you can use digestive enzymes to improve that. You could use betaine, which is another digestive enzyme, which is actually sort of hydrochloric acid. But let's say 2 hours after a meal, your tummy still isn't feeling right. Maybe you're feeling a bit bloated, it's not feeling quite right. You could take quarter or half a teaspoonful of sodium bicarbonate, and that would neutralize any acid. You don't want to take it directly after a meal because then you wouldn't digest it. You need the stomach acid to do the digestion, and then a couple of hours later, turning it off with the bicarb. So bicarb makes you go alkaline. Now, this can be a huge advantage. So if, for instance, you took a quarter or half a teaspoonful of bicarb before bed, last thing, assuming you haven't eaten for at least 2 hours before bedtime, that would put you in a alkaline state all night. So in theory, that should aid your rest and recovery process during the evening. But there's way, way more to sodium bicarbonate. And there is a brilliant book I've probably got on my desk, called Sodium Bicarbonate by the author Mark Serkis. This guy, this is another of his books, Hydrogen Medicine. This guy, Dr. Mark Serkis, he's written about 40 books, and although I haven't had time to read them all, the ones I have read have been genius. It does one on iodine, bicarb, magnesium, all the basic stuff that I sell. He has books about it, and it's stunning. I mean, just ridiculous. I mean, who's heard of using hydrogen as a medicine, right?
Yeah.
But let me just read out the titles of the chapters. Hydrogen is a new method for treating with a K cancer. With a K, cancer patients receiving radiotherapy and chemo. Hydrogen is used for brain cancer. It's used by heart surgeons, and it's generally a mixture of hydrogen and oxygen, which they call hydroxy. Parkinson's people inhaling hydroxy gas, many of them find within a couple of hours their shaking has stopped for a while. It's not going to stop for long, but it will stop. And there are devices which make hydrogen. There are little ones. You want to buy a good quality one, about 200 or 300 quid, where it puts hydrogen bubbles through water and then you drink it. Then you get big machines, which the people with Parkinson's have, and the results can be very impressive. There are lots of studies going on now in universities with these hydroxy machines, proper university studies. They're, I think, 2/3 of the way through of getting NHS approval for this. It's approved for heart patients, but not yet for some of these other uses like Parkinson's. If anybody has somebody with Parkinson's, on the Secret Health Club, there is a Parkinson's page which explains about things like NADH. NADH is a derivative of niacin, which we talked about before. And over the years, I've seen lots of people who, not all of them, some people, it's what they needed. They needed this form of niacin, which calms the neurology, basically. Same reason why it calms people down who are manic.
It's so enlightening to be able to talk to somebody like yourself who offers a different perspective than the very narrow perspective that we've grown up with, and thinking that there is only this one way of doing things, and actually there are all these amazing substances and supplements and things that can help us, that perhaps a lot of the mainstream people don't talk about these days, because it's all been streamlined, perhaps for various reasons. Let's not go into that.
But let me show you another one.
Do.
Methylene blue.
Now I've heard of methylene blue.
Yeah, it's all the rage right now. It was discovered in the 1850s, I think, as a blue dye. And of course, blue dyes were sought after because they were so rare and valuable. You got indigo or something. But anyway, as a blue dye, as microscopy started to happen, they wanted dyes to stain various samples. And the problem was that whenever they used methylene blue, everything died. If they were looking at fungus, bacteria, you name it, nothing could survive methylene blue. So it's used today. If you go into the aquarium and you want a fungal treatment for your fish, you put a drop of methylene blue in the tank, and now there's no fungus in there. So very quickly, they realized, well, if it kills pathogens, what would happen if you drank some of it? It was discovered to be the best anti-malarial ever, arguably still is. No side effects, but if you take too much, it's one of those U-shaped curves. It's good, 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 better, and then it's down the other side.
Right.
So got to get the dose right. But that's pretty simple. And people find a boost to their brain function. And this is probably why, if you have heard about it, this is probably the reason why you've heard about it. First day I tried it, I'm not very sensitive to anything very much, but I was pretty sure I felt a difference. And so I started supplying it to all my friends and colleagues and so on. And most people noticed something. It's very interesting. So let me read you just the chapter headings. This book to give you a little picture. The antidote for chemical poisoning and overdose, the greatest anti-malarial drug ever, the virus warrior, forget dementia, methylene blue versus Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, cognitive enhancement, a brain boosting powerhouse, depression no more, hope for autism, great pain reliever, a healthier heart, methylene blue versus cancer, methylene blue for dogs, cats, cows, fishes, and horses. You get the idea.
Gosh. Listen, Clive, I know that we did a show together and you were talking about many of these different things, particularly the things like the magnesium and iodine and vitamin D. And we did a show, I did my stuff, you did your stuff, and people turned up, we were in Hove. And people were absolutely fascinated and being able to ask you questions, which is so nice for people to be able to have that response. And I find that with talks, it's great being on video and stuff, so you can get some messages out. But when the audience asks you a left field question, it makes you think. I know you're doing more of that sort of stuff so people can come and see you. Have you got any that you could tell us where you are going to be? And we'll obviously put the link in the description so people can book their tickets to come and see you if they wish.
Yes. Well, if they're in a desperate rush and just can't wait, I'm doing a show with James Delingpole. Sorry, I've been talking too much.
That's all right. Have some of that nice, wonderful filtered water.
Yes. So, I'm doing a talk with James Delingpole tomorrow in Poole in Dorset. And on my website, you can find where to get tickets for that. Then I'm doing the Shine Seminars Summer Celebration, which maybe you're coming to.
Yes, I'm there on the first 2 days, actually.
All right. So it's the 4th, 5th and 6th of August. And that's somewhere near Bristol, I think, is it?
Yes, it's South Gloucestershire somewhere.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly. I did have the leaflet here, but
so that should be amazing. If you're into hearing lots of speakers,
yes.
Eli's booked 45 of us.
No, mate, it's amazing. It sounds an amazing event. I wish I could do all 3 days, but I've got a prior engagement on one of them, but it's going to be good.
So I think that should be really good. Really, really good. So many interesting people that I want to hear that I've never heard. And then I'm doing one in Glastonbury with the comedian Steve Hughes on Saturday the 19th. That's at the Town Hall, I think.
That's August, presumably. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So that's it at the moment. I've got another one up in Buxton coming up, which is Derbyshire or somewhere. I've got a few actually.
Well, I'll put the link in the description so people can see where you are nearest to them and when. Because people get so much out of that, don't they? I mean, I certainly find that from doing what little I do and what knowledge I have, which is really just opinions. Whereas you're an expert, you know stuff, and that's the difference. And people can actually, and you also bring some of your Tesla machines, and people can have a bit of fun experimenting and looking at those, which is fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating.
I'm thinking of doing a pain away day in London,
A pain away day. That sounds great.
inviting everybody I know who is a specialist in getting people out of pain from anything, massage, anything, equipment, whatever. And I was thinking either I charge a very small entrance fee or maybe just by donations. And if you get a result, well, bring a bundle of cash. Expect
Yes.
big results, or bring thousands of pounds, but bring whatever you can. And so that's what I'm thinking of, just a mass pain away day. Just come in and there's a whole choice of people with different modalities. See what works.
Well, I think that's a brilliant. We'll put that on the website as well. People, and we'll once you get that organised, we'll have a chat. Maybe I can come up and interview some of the people who are there and see if they get the pain away, which would be amazing.
Well, the last time I did one, and the video's actually available. I filmed myself doing it. I got 34 people out of pain in a row.
Wow. In a row, one after the other.
5 minutes with each one.
Yeah. There we go.
That's what's possible with, the knowledge that they have wiped out from the doctor's training. All the doctors used to know the stuff that I talk about. They all knew it at one point. At least, the electrotherapy part, they did.
Yes. But now they sell pills.
Actually, a lot more money in that.
Absolutely. Clive, I'm going to have to go because I've double booked myself today. But this sounds really exciting, the the events coming up. But thank you for the stuff about getting people, just those simple things when people are feeling a bit low and a bit down. I was feeling a bit down this morning, but I'm being buoyed up just by talking to you. So I know people would be buoyed up coming to your events. But magnesium seems to be the one thing, and I know you sell it on your website because there are other places as well. But I'll put the link in the description. And I can't wait to see you again at the Shine seminars, as you said, on the 4th, 5th and 6th of August. Should be great fun.
And on the website, there's stuff like the Methylene Blue. I'll send you a bottle and you can try it and see if you notice. A lot of people notice on day one.
I'll give it a whirl. I'll let the world know if I'm suddenly feeling, top of the world.
Yes.
Brilliant. Clive, it's a joy to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you very much.
And I can't wait to see you at the other events coming up. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Do check out Clive de Carle's website and the Secret Health Club. And in the meantime, I'll be back with some more monologues and wonderful interviews and be appearing at various events around the country just like Clive. So take care. Thanks, Clive.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Till next time. Bye-bye.